Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, wa sallallahu wa sallam wa barik ala nabina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. Allahumma la sahla illa ma ja'altahu sahla wa anta taj'alul hazna idha shi'ta sahla. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brothers, sisters, viewers at home and elsewhere, you're watching a brand new episode of Ask Eman, live on Eman Channel. And as always, I'm your host, Hisham, this Friday evening, and I'm joined by our dear Sheikh, beloved Sheikh, Hafidhullah, Shaqur, Rehman, Hafidhullah, with us here today, live in the studio. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. How are we?
Wa alaikum salam wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, all good.
Good to see our Sheikh back again. Thank you for your time, Sheikh. How has our Sheikh's week been thus far? Our weekly question.
Yes, the weekly question, isn't it? Alhamdulillah, yani all good. Some highlights, I suppose. I was actually normally khutbahs are at masajid.
Yeah.
I decided to change my routine a little bit, so I was at a university campus today.
Oh,
I did a khutbah and mingled with some of the brothers.
yeah.
So that was fun. So it's always good to see the up and coming generation and share some thoughts with them.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, they're the ones who are going to carry the deen forward and progress. So alhamdulillah, it was really good to spend some time with them.
Alhamdulillah. MashaAllah. Good to hear, Sheikh. Brothers and sisters, this is your opportunity to take advantage and to call in if you have any questions pertaining to Islam, of course. You can reach us on 0203 5150757 directly through to our studio. And also, you can also message or call us through the WhatsApp line at the bottom of your screen below. And finally, we are, as always, streaming on our social media handle, which is YouTube. So if you're watching the stream now, then welcome to the show. If you would like to ask questions and you don't know how to, then all you need to do is submit your questions into the comment section below, inshallah, and we'll get through as many as time permits. With that being said, Sheikh, following on from our Sheikh meeting the youth today and giving khutbahs in universities, you know, a lot of the time people complain, they say, oh, there's no good in the youth are like this, the youth are so bad, oh, this generation's so bad. How should we view this, Sheikh? Is that really true, or does that mean there's no good in the youth anymore?
Alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, amma ba'd. So this kind of mentality makes me laugh and smile, I suppose, because if you look through the Quran and the Sunnah, you will never find Allah speaking about the youth or the Prophet ﷺ speaking about the youth in a negative way. Mm-hmm. You won't find it at all. Allah speaks about the youth in a positive way. So this is an indication here. The youth are what you put into them. Okay? And the youth, you're not going to do anything good with the youth if you start criticizing them and having a go at them and saying negative things about them. That's not how you win hearts and lift them and take them to the higher levels that you want them to attain. So the methodology of Allah and His Messenger is to understand the potential within the youth. And they have such a potential that if they put their mind to something and they believe in something, they will give 100%, 150%, 200% to that thing. Okay, the older generations, okay, and let's say 40 plus, 50 plus, etc. They've had their time, they've had their life, they've done their things, they've become settled in their comfort zones, what they're used to, etc. The ones who are going to make those sacrifices and sometimes what may be perceived as radical sacrifices, really go out of their way because they believe in a cause. It's not going to be those elders, it's going to be those youth. Look at the Prophet ﷺ, the companions that were around him. The majority of them were youth. And they're the ones who changed the world. And in any historical context, if you look, who are the ones who are at the core of any real change in the world? It's the youth. Okay, it is the youth. Even from our recent, the recent context of Gaza and what's happening in Gaza, etc. And even prior to this, in America, when we had the encampments start, and they were talking about the encampments back in the 60s onwards, etc., with the US civil rights movement, who was at the forefront making the change, giving the sacrifices, and compelling establishments and governments to make a change? Who was it? It was the youth. So the youth have a potential that is unmatched. We need to tap into that potential. The youth have that strength, the zeal, the energy, and they have that potential. The senior people, we have life experience. Sometimes we term that as wisdom, etc. We know how systems work and processes, etc. One side cannot do without the others. In Islam, there is no such thing as this dichotomy. The youth are on one side and the seniors are on the other side, or men are pit against women. No, this doesn't exist in Islam. إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَةً. Believers are one body, they are brothers to one another. All of them have to come together. The Prophet ﷺ described us as one body. Yeah? يَشُدُّهُ بَعْضُهُ بَعْضًا. Part of it strengthens the other part. This is what we need to understand. Okay, so it's really good. Even today, as I was leaving, the head brother, he said to me, and obviously, he's just walking me back to the station, and I'm about to leave him. And then, during that conversation, I actually taught him in primary school, which is quite interesting. Okay, so then he has this position. But if you look at the question that he asked right at the end, okay, so just as I'm leaving, I'm not expecting this, we've had our chat, etc. And then he suddenly just says, as a parting advice, he says, in the role that I've been given, okay, so he's the head brother, he's going to organize the events, he's going to set the direction for the Islamic Society and who they bring in, the talks that they do, and all of that. So he's going to be the momentum. So he said to me that, what do you advise me with this responsibility? Okay, he's thinking big, right? Because he knows there's certain people who want to stoke the fires of division, and bring in certain speakers only and restrict it, and all of these little things that go on in ISOCs. So I left him with the fact that, look, between 18 to 24, this is the last time that most people actually make a decision on their own identity. 18 to 24. This is that stage. You have these three phases in life. One is at the younger age, and then you have the teenage years, and then 18 to 24. Now you're making a decision about your identity, which will probably last for the rest of your life. So I said to him, look, Islam teaches you that the Muslims are brothers, and unity is one of the greatest principles in Islam. In unity, there is strength. We unfortunately get distracted from all of the things that we are unified on and focus on the few issues, the detailed issues that we differ. And then we cause division within ourselves, and then we fall prey to this divide and conquer. And we give power to our enemies over us. So for him to be thinking in this way, that in itself, when I left them, it left an impression, mashallah. These youth, they have a better thinking than we had when we were at university. And we remember, in university times, all this infighting that was going on. In those days, it was, you had the Deobandi brothers against the Brailwi brothers, and the Brailwis against everyone else. And then you had the Hizb ut-Tahrir, and then you had the Salafis, and then you had all these other factions, and everyone's fighting for what? Detailed issues, and they forgot that we're all Muslims, we're all brothers, and actually the fundamentals we all agree on.
Yes.
So we get involved in nonsense, and rather than lifting people's Iman and strengthening their identity as Muslims on the core fundamentals, which at the end of the day, the university students that are there, that's what they need. They need to be uplifted every week with the Jumu'ah khutbah. They need to be uplifted when it comes to the weekly talk that they do, in the learning. They need to come together, understanding that we are a diverse ummah. Our fundamentals are all the same. People have had differences for hundreds of years. You're not going to get rid of them. It's impossible. Okay, that doesn't matter. Our belief in Allah, the Messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the pillars of Islam is all unified. So focus on that and build our identity and strengthen it. Everyone wants to do something for Islam. So, yeah, you do what you believe is your part to play in the ummah. And they will do what their part is. And if everyone does their part, we're going to fulfill the role of the ummah. If we don't do our part, whatever that is, then we're not. Just as Allah says, قُلْ كُلٌّ يَعْمَلُ عَلَى شَاكِلَتِهِ. Let every person work in his path and what his niche is and what his role is to play. If you do that, Allah knows who is best guided, as the verse ends. But each person has a role to play. And we should never belittle someone else's effort for Allah and His Messenger. We should value it. We should see them as filling a gap that we perhaps can't fill. So really, whenever I spend time with the youth, and most of my time, I like to spend time with the youth because they are the future. And it's a cliched saying, but that is the reality. If we nurture our youth, that's another 50 years of Islam flourishing and progressing. If we don't give them that time, that experience that we've gathered, then we're leaving them to people who don't have that experience, don't have that wisdom accumulated over years. And it can never be gained at a very young age. It never happens. You might be able to get technical knowledge at a very young age, but what we describe as wisdom that comes with the experience and how to apply that technical knowledge that we have, that takes years and experience and time. So if we don't impart it onto our youth, we are doing a disservice to the ummah. And to all the elders out there, all the seniors who have life experience, it doesn't have to be scholarship in Islamic studies. Every one of you who is senior and has experience, whether it's in engineering, in science, in medicine, in architecture, in civil engineering, whatever it is, you're a Muslim with this experience and this expertise. You've earned what you've earned and you've done something for yourself. What about the ummah? You have so much you can impart on our youth to push them up the ladder quicker so they can serve the ummah even more. Just imagine you do this for other people in your field coming up the ladder for the sake of them doing something else for the ummah. That will be on your scales yawm al-qiyamah. Don't belittle it. Every one of you has a role to play. Every one of you who's senior has a role to play. Take some youth, impart that on them, give from your time, give it for the sake of Allah, and then you will see the ummah rise. Because when our youth start at a higher position than we started at, that means the next generation has a step up. And that way we push the ummah forward. And we need it in all different fields. And Allah knows best.
Okay, quick follow-up, Sheikh, on that. So our Sheikh mentioned 18 to 24. So does that mean when you're 25, you're no longer in your youth?
It is rough, isn't it? Rough.
Roughly.
I'm not saying you're still young.
Okay. Islamically, when are you not classed as a youth or in your youth? Is there...
Once you're 40, 40 and above, you've matured. Okay, so you're not senior yet, but you've matured. So here, you find in Surah Al-Ahqaf, Allah mentions حتى بلغ 40 سنة, right? So person reaches 40 years. That's the time of you get this mental maturity and your maturity in terms of your psychology and your emotions. Around 40. It's not like one day you just wake up and suddenly you've matured. Around that kind of time. So before that, you're still considered a youth, but this identity crisis and defining who you are and what you're going to be, 18 to 24 is a key period of one's life. It's the education system is not just there putting everyone in at this age for no reason. And there's a lot of science behind it. This is when you can be molded to a particular way. So they take advantage of it. They bombard you with everything and they want you to be a certain way. It's not free education, or it used to be free, isn't it? Now it's still, it's a tax they're going to put on you when you start earning. But in one sense, it's still free. They're covering your costs until you're able to pay back. And you're not going to pay back all of it anyway. It's a tax. They'll take certain amounts of it and they still make a huge loss on it. So they do it so they can mold you to what they want you to be. But it's not actually molding you for truth. It's molding you the way they want you to be. So the powers that be who control the education system and the institution of education, they are indoctrinating you in a way they want you to be. Conform to this. Be subservient to the system. Right, as soon as you start thinking outside of that system, then they're not going to like you that much. Okay? Sure. But those who go outside of the system and can think out of the box, they can excel in ways that others can't. That's a more difficult thing for a person to do.
Okay, all right, inshallah. Sheikh, insurance. What's the issue with insurance? What is it haram? Why is it haram? We're not talking about car insurance. We're talking about life insurance, for insurance for your gadgets and things. What does Islam say on this? We have about 2 minutes.
Okay, so insurance, there's two different types of problems here. The more simple problem is, right, say if I have a phone, for instance, I have my phone, which everyone has a phone. Now, the phone is perfectly fine right now, and you have the normal guarantee, which is for a year on most products. If something goes wrong, they'll fix it for you. Now, I'm paying them money just in case that something happens to it after 2 years, 3 years, whatever it is, and they will fix it and repair it. I'm paying them money for something that I may never use. Okay, this is the problem. In Islam, this is called gharar, or called ambiguity. You're giving money for something and you might not get anything back for it.
But it's your peace of mind, Sheikh.
It's your peace of mind.
Yeah,
but
in case something happens to my phone.
You're paying money for what exactly?
Just so you feel protected.
That's nothing.
Like if anything happens.
That's actually in reality nothing. Okay? So from a technical perspective, it's nothing. Now it becomes worse. Okay? It becomes riba, which is the worst type, if they're not going to fix your gadget for you, but you're paying them money, and what they're going to do, if something goes wrong, they're going to pay you money. And then you can do what you want with that money.
What if they replace it?
Then it becomes riba.
Okay, what if they replace it with a new phone?
Yeah, replacing it with a new phone, they're giving you something, at least it's not money. The worst type of insurance is where you pay money and they end up paying you more money afterwards. Okay, this, completely haram.
Like life insurance.
Completely, yeah. Money for money. Okay, money for money, this is riba. And this is the worst type of insurance.
Okay, so we can't have the mindset, oh, I'm leaving something behind for my kids, like that.
No, this is you might leave something halal for them, but you're going to get punished for it. Okay, so what you want to get punished and leave your children benefiting. So you burn in the hellfire, well, they'll benefit. For them, it'll be halal. For you, it's haram.
Okay, Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Inshallah, brothers and sisters, I hope that shed some light on insurance and a few of the other matters that we discussed. We're going for a break now. Inshallah, we're back with you in a few moments' time. Don't go anywhere. Remember, you can keep calling us in on the number. Barakallahu feekum. See you soon. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een amma ba'd. Ya hayyu ya qayyumu bi rahmatika astaghith fala takilni ila nafsi tarfat ayn wa aslih li sha'ni kullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brothers and sisters. Welcome back to the second half of today's episode of Ask Eman live on Eman Channel. We are live here in our London studio with our beloved Sheikh, Rehman, hafidhahullah. And we have been taking your questions through telephone, through WhatsApp, through YouTube and so on. If you'd like to take part in today's show, remember 0203515077 is the number to call. And of course you can reach us and call us or message us however you wish to do so on the WhatsApp number at the bottom of your screen below. Any brothers and sisters, any viewers outside of the UK watching, this is the line for you to call. And finally, if you're watching us on YouTube, away from your television sets, then you can obviously watch the live stream now. If you are doing, then welcome to the show, or welcome back to the show rather. And of course, if you want to ask questions, you can just submit them into the comment section below. Sheikh, interesting questions coming through. I read that the wife's mother is a mahram to the husband, even if the wife is divorced or dies. What is the wisdom of that? And secondly, so you can never marry your wife's mother?
Okay. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah amma ba'd. So let's kind of zoom out on the issue. The brother asked the detailed question, but first understand how Islam looks at family. Okay, family is the most important institution in society. The family bond, after Allah, your connection with Allah and His Messenger, the next greatest relationship and bond that you have is the bond of family. So the family relationship is to your mother and father, and then to your siblings, and then to all the kith and kin. Silatul Rahim, or being good to one's kith and kin, was something ordained in the early part of Islam. So you're looking even in Mecca, right? So this tells you, and this is something on all the divinely revealed religions. This has never changed in the law of Allah or what Allah has revealed. So you could say this is a core part of Islam in the greatest sense, whatever Allah has revealed from the time of Adam alayhi salam until Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. This will never change. Okay, so now the crux of family comes, or the core of the family unit comes through marriages. Okay, so Islam, how does Islam look at marriage, the institution of marriage? It holds marriage in such a lofty position that once a person marries, things change for life. And it's seen as the institution that is the central institution for a flourishing society. Okay. So, then when you look at this particular ruling, right, as soon as you marry a woman, her mother becomes a mahram to you, the man. Her mother becomes a mahram to you for life. Okay. It tells you, right, once you marry a woman, her family has a relationship with you in some ways that will never end, whether you're still married to her or not. Okay, because the position of marriage is so lofty and valuable in Islam, and Allah wants you to teach that. Wants to teach you this whole thing. And if you imagine, just say this ruling didn't exist. Okay? A woman is married to this man, and then he divorces her, and then he goes along later on and marries her mother, as may be done in certain Western civilizations and Western countries, etc. How is that going to make the daughter feel towards her mother? Okay, he was married to me, it didn't work out, this is how I feel to him, things went pear-shaped, she has some animosity towards him, and now he's meant to have a different relationship, he's the husband of her mother? And this is going to cause issues within the relationship between the mother and the daughter. Okay, and internally, this will cause great division between them, because this is not something that a daughter can actually handle emotionally, psychologically, etc. So, Allah values the family unit. And the rulings within Islam, whatever rulings they are preserving the family unit, the bonds of kith and kin at the highest level. So the detailed rulings are to minimize friction within families and to maximize the strengthening of the bonds between kith and kin. So when a man marries a woman, even if he divorces her later on, her mother will always be a mahram to him, and that relationship never ends. So I hope that makes sense.
Okay.
Allahu a'lam.
Okay, Jazakallah, Sheikh. Before the break, we were speaking about insurance.
There was another question that you asked at the same time. Oh, it was both in that same thing.
Both together, yeah. So before the break, we were discussing insurance. What's the issue with insurance, life insurance, and our Sheikh mentioned some insurance products turn into riba. So I wanted to ask, what's the issue with riba? Why is it haram? I'm not harming anyone. I get a few pounds extra from the bank. When I get my savings, I want to get a mortgage, Allahu Alam, whatever it is. I'm not harming anyone. Why is riba so bad?
Okay. Because we live in a riba-based economy, and that's all across the world, it's quite easy for a person to fall into this, because this has been normalized, this is the way the world works, and it's shown to us that you can't succeed and you can't be successful unless you work within this riba system.
Yes.
And we're kind of detached from all of the dhulm, or all of the oppression, the hardships and the misery that this whole system brings. How many families out there are struggling to make their repayments and tearing their hair out and going without food and basic necessities because their mortgages are keep rising, and they're trying to pay off that debt, and it gets them into more debt, and debt accumulates, etc. How many? And if you were to see the misery that it caused and you were to know about it, then you would start understanding that this can't be a good system, because it causes so much misery. And it is the reason why the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. And most of the world is from the poor. And you have these few people, the money men, who just keep getting richer. So money stays with this group of people, the rich, which are a very small percentage of the world, and everyone else suffers. Okay? So you see how it's a tool of oppression of the majority of people. Okay, now let's rewind. What is the riba? Why is it so bad? Okay. Let's go from the way the banking system works. Now, we know Allah made it haram. And Allah said riba itself is, in itself, dhulm, is oppression. This is part of that great category that Allah has legislated that must be eradicated or minimized at the very least. Okay, dhulm, injustice. And riba itself, the Sharia says, this is in itself dhulm, oppression, injustice, the cause of misery. Right, so this is how the Sharia looks at it. Now, if you look at why it looks at it like this, money is taken, and without doing anything, that money makes money. How so? Right, the bank has money, it gets other people to deposit money, and then loans out that money to other people at a rate of interest. So they take £1, they loan out that pound, and they charge many pounds on top to those people taking out the money, and they're making money out of money. Allah doesn't allow us to do this. So they're making money out of money. They have about 5% or less than that of the money they're actually loaning out. The rest of the money doesn't actually exist. Now, why did Allah say that money has to be gold and silver? Because you can't make gold and silver. Allah is the only one that has put gold and silver in the earth, and there's a limited quantity of it. No one controls the creation of money except Allah. This is how Allah wanted it. This system of riba allows people, and it's always the elite and the rich, to create money out of nothing. So they control the economy and they control the world through this creation of money. And this belongs only to Allah. This is vying with Allah over the authority when it comes to wealth. That's why it's such an oppressive system. Allah deals with people in a just way. He makes money move around people. He doesn't allow it to stay as a monopoly for a small group of people. Whereas the current system, the ribawi system, keeps it within those rich people who control everyone through that money. Okay, so now, if you look at the example of money, just creating money by itself, this is like cancer. Okay, how is it like cancer? You know, how does cancer work? One cell splits into many cells, and then it keeps splitting, and there's no stopping it, and it takes over everything, and then it kills the body. They take one pound, and they multiply it, and it keeps multiplying, and it's not a reality, and it takes over everything, and everyone's in debt, everyone's suffering from that cancer, until some people commit suicide because of the amount of debt they're in. So riba is the cancer when it comes to money. And this, unfortunately, is what the world's economical system is based upon right now. So we're in a really bad state because we've taken the law of Allah, where money can only be created by Allah, and we've put that right of Allah in the hands of human beings. And they can create as much money as they want. They just print it on paper and it's called money, and there's no limit, and they're the ones who control it and whose hands it goes in. And the poor are the ones who suffer in misery, and they're the majority of the population. And the few at the top enjoy the luxuries while stepping on the rights and lives of everyone else. So this, in a nutshell, is the oppression of riba. And this is why it's one of the most hated things to Allah. So that the Prophet ﷺ and Allah curse every single individual involved in riba. Whether they're taking it, giving it, writing it down, carrying it, any connection with it, they are cursed by Allah and His Messenger, because it's so evil. And Allah knows best.
Okay, Jazakumullah, Sheikh. Brothers and sisters, anyone who's struggling with mental health, with suicidal thoughts, or so on and so forth, remember to contact your local helplines and professionals to seek aid, especially if you're struggling in debts or health issues or whatever it may be, inshallah. On the back of that...
if they're struggling from debts and issues from riba, they need financial help as well as medical attention. Yeah.
Also seek your financial experts as well, inshallah. Jazakumullah, Sheikh. We have just under 5 minutes left in the program, inshallah. Brothers and sisters, don't forget to call 0203 515 0757. You can also call us on the WhatsApp number below. Sheikh, a couple of questions on the back of it. What are halal mortgages then? Do they exist, or is it the same thing? And let's say my friend asks me for £100 as a loan. Can I say, yeah, here's £100, but can you pay me £20 on top of that because I gave you that £100?
Okay, let's deal with the second one first, because it's an easier thing. Right, money for money has to be the same amount. If you increase, then it's riba. So if I say...
Can I call it a service charge?
So you want to do riba through the back door?
Is that what it is?
Yes, that's exactly what it is. Right, so I want to make money out of my money without me doing anything.
Okay. What if my friend says, look, I really appreciate you giving me £100. Here's £20 because you helped me out in time of need. Is that a gift?
Right, so that's something different, isn't it? It's not something that you agreed when the £100 was given.
Sure.
Okay, so that's a different thing. You agreeing, right, I'm going to give you the £100, you have to give me £120 back. That's riba. Clear, cut.
Right.
There's no issue. That is riba. Okay, so you're part of the dhulm. You're not allowed to do that. When the Prophet ﷺ said even dates, you imagine something, it looks so small, insignificant. Right, dates for dates. Yeah, even though they're different types of dates. You can't give 1 kilo of this dates and take 2 kilos of the other dates. You can't do that. And it's something you think is trivial. But this is all part of the riba system, so it's not allowed. Okay? So every avenue towards it, even that which looks small, is not allowed. Allah and His Messenger have closed all of those doors. Right, so that's the easy one here. Right, and many people, because they see the system, they think, even recently I was asked this question. Someone wants to take out a loan from me for £1,000, and the brother's thinking, how can I make money out of that £1,000? Because everyone's doing it. So it must be good. No, this is oppression. If you loan someone money, you only deserve what you gave to that person.
What if inflation reduced the value?
Tough.
Okay, Sheikh, we have about 2 minutes left.
Right, so otherwise it's riba. Now, the other question you asked was
the mortgages.
The mortgages, halal mortgages. What is a halal mortgage? Now, brothers and sisters and this is a huge issue. It's a huge issue for every single one of us. Every one of us needs a shelter to live in. We want our houses. We want that stability in life. Now, to find a halal mortgage, even calling it a halal mortgage mixes terms and makes it all convoluted and problematic. Right. So what you're looking for is a way where you are buying the house, or you are buying part of the house, and another company, whoever they are, person, has the other part of the house, and you are buying their share as much as you can in whatever time period you are able to do so. That's the type of, these shared ownership schemes where you're not compelled to buy the other party's share is probably the best model that you'll find around at the moment, okay? So these shared ownership schemes where you're not compelled to buy the other partner's share are probably the best and most in line with Sharia principles. Or you had the old method which our parents used to use, which is they help each other out. They give each other qard hasan. So they give each other an interest-free loan. And they give it, they get together as family, they sort out this person, everyone gives them 50k loans until that person can buy their houses, and then they do it for the other parties. And they used to do things like that when there was a lot of trust and a lot of integrity in people. That integrity has been lost, so people are less able to do this or willing to do this now. And since you're telling me that time's up, I have to stop there.
Khair. Okay, maybe we can pick it up next time, inshallah. Jazakallah Sheikh. Brothers and sisters, sadly we've reached the ending of today's show. We pray that you've benefited and you've learned something new, inshallah. Remember, we'll be back again tomorrow, 8 p.m, same time, same place. So until then, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to reward our Sheikh, his family, all those beloved to him, all the brothers involved in the production, all the brothers and sisters who took part in the show. Ameen. Barakallahu feekum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.